cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Filling up with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know when my heartbeat needed skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Ooh, you take me higher. Ooh, you take me higher, baby. You take me higher. Ooh, you take me higher, baby.
Welcome to Radical Truth to Power, the progressive news show with Let's BS3. I am your host, Marlon Clyburn, and on today's show, you see the title, you knew what you was getting in when you clicked on this channel. We will be going into detail about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, the verdict. We will be going into great detail about the Ahmaud Arbery case, and it's going to be rough. Grab your favorite drink, grab your popcorn. Let's get this party started. So the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict of not guilty on all counts came in Friday. And of course, there are two groups of people that I witnessed at least. The first group of people is the normal outraged, pissed off, angry, frustrated. This is wrong. I get it. The second group of people just not shocked at all, saw it coming from a long ways away. A lot of those people didn't even watch the trial. They read little blurbs here and there. They read a couple of articles here and there, and the more articles that they read, the more that it's just like, yeah, I made a good choice not even to watch the trial. So here is my take on it, and then I'm going to go and show you why I said what I said. And that is the verdict that was given at the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, based on law, based on direction, was the absolute correct verdict. I will repeat myself. Based on the law and based on the rules, the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict was absolutely correct. Now I'll give everybody a few minutes to call me names and click off and lose their ever-loving mind, and all of them flipped and everything else. And I get it. I get it. I get it. That's not what you expect me to say. I'll give you a few minutes to get all out your system real quick here. Okay. Guess everybody's gone. Everybody's done? Everybody good? Everybody good. Okay. Probably having a couple of technical difficulties here. I think I'm pausing, but I'll just keep it pushing. So, here's the reason why I said what I said. This whole thing was set up at the very beginning to only get that verdict. There was no way around it. Literally, there was absolutely no way around getting another verdict for what we got. Hey, Mickey, you're not late. That echoes several seconds after. Hmm. Am I still having an echo, Mickey? So, Mickey, I'll repeat what I said. So you wasn't here. So I'll repeat what I said. Because according to the law and according to the rules of the case, the Cal Rittenhouse verdict was correct. Again, according to the law and according to the rules, the Cal Rittenhouse verdict was correct. Let everybody let that sink in a little bit. Checking in. What's going on, Thiz? Tracy, you got some explaining to do. I know. I know. I know. LOL is so late it sounds like you're saying each sentence twice. I hope not. It may be my connection, and right now I can't do anything about it. So I'll just keep it pushing and hope that everybody get what I'm saying. So again, according to the law, according to the rulings of that case, the Cal Rittenhouse verdict was correct. I gave everybody time to get everything out of their system. And so let me go into great detail of why I said what I said. The law was set up and the rules of the case was set up, of the trial, I apologize, of the trial was set up that this verdict could only go one direction. So let me give you one little thing that I found out about the rules in Wisconsin itself. Now, in a normal circumstance, when you have a prosecution, you have a defense. The prosecute, and I know it sounds silly, but I've been all day trying to figure out a way of saying this without trying to make people sound like you stupid and you don't understand the difference between prosecution and defense. I apologize. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just going to get into it. The prosecution and the defense. The prosecution job is to accuse a person of a misdeed or whatever. The defense job is to defend the person that's being accused. Got it? Prosecution accused, defense defends against it. You did something, no, I didn't. Well, I said you did. Well, I'm going to show you that I didn't do it. Except in Wisconsin. And in Wisconsin, when the defense actually uses a how can I say this? When they use the self defense as their way, when they use self defense, they will turn around and go, okay, I'm accusing you of this. But it was in self defense. And in Wisconsin, it's going, now, prosecutor, you have to prove that I did do it. I don't have to prove absolutely nothing. I don't have to prove that I didn't do it. You have to prove that I did do it. It puts all the burden on the prosecution. Wisconsin rules. Uh, okay, you're coming in clear on YouTube. Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. The verdict was correct because of all the videos, proof of cow racism, white supremacy, aggressive were blocked by the jury. We're getting there. You get see? Reload your bill. Okay. I think everybody is reloaded. I dropped. There's some people that's dropping off, and there's some people coming back on. So I think something is going on, but I'll keep it pushing. So let's just go ahead and start from the very beginning of how this was all set up to just get that verdict. There is nowhere else around getting that verdict. Let's start by the judge actually stopping the prosecution from using victims when talking to the people who were shot and or killed.
The business about people not being identified as victims. How would you like to be put on trial for a crime? And the judge introduced the case to the jury by introducing you as the defendant and the person who is accusing you as the victim. And then throughout the trial, have all the references to the complaining witness as being the victim. Is it so difficult to just use the term complaining witness instead of prejudging what the jury is here to determine as to whether there's a victim and whether there was a crime committed? So I don't know what I'll leave that comment at that. And then finally, I'm now reading about how bizarre and unusual it was to have the defendant pick the numbers out of the tumbler.
I'm going to cut it there because he's just talking a bunch of nonsense after that about the black, only one black person on the jury, and that's not no problem. It's a bunch of nonsense, so I'm going to skip the rest of that. So what you saw there was him saying, I don't think it's right for you to use the term victim when talking about the people who were shot and or killed by Kyle Rittenhouse. So if he was to use that term, if he was going to use that rule, we all think it's wrong. We get it. The only issue that we have is that then he turns around and go, yet the defense can use protesters and looters and rioters when describing them. Prosecution can't use victim, but the defense can use rioters and looters. Now, is that fair? One lawyer spells it out better than I can.
Joining us today with more on why the judge made this decision and how it could impact the trial is Lance Northcutt. He is an attorney at Salvi, Shostak, and Pritchard. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so why do you think the judge would make a decision like this? Were you surprised?
I was very surprised at the way in which the decision came down, specifically in a manner that really hurts the prosecution and enables the defense to essentially demonize the people who were victimized in this case, the people who were shot.
Let me ask you this. I was reading a quote from a law professor at the University of Wisconsin, Lance, and here's what he said. He said, in any self-defense case, the people who were shot are also on trial. If you think about it, it does sort of make sense, does it not?
Well, it makes sense from that perspective as far as a defense theory. But as a matter of law, to suggest that somehow a prosecutor would be enjoined from advocacy, from referring to victims as victims, seems to be a bridge too far. And there have been situations where courts have ruled that this type of constraint on a prosecutor's speech in front of the jury is proper. But the vast majority of cases in courts across the country will allow prosecutors a fairly wide latitude in explaining the evidence in a way that they believe is supported by the facts. And here you have kind of a unique situation where the judge has come down and said, we don't want to have a pejorative used in describing the victim, but we will allow the defense to describe the victim as a looter or a rioter. And there's a logical inconsistency in that, it seems to me. If you're going to suggest that somehow the prosecution is going to be barred from characterizing a person who was shot in any one way, you have to be consistent across the board with respect to the defense. It seems like the defense kind of got an advantage here.
See, right there is the setup. That judge knew exactly what he was doing. We don't want to empathize with the victims, and that's what they were. They were victims. We don't want the jury to empathize with the victims by labeling them victims. However, we have no problem skewing the judgment of the jury by calling them from the defense rioters and looters. He wasn't equal across the board. He knew what he was doing. It was all a complete setup from the very beginning. Let me see. I read it according to Wisconsin law. Self-defense must be of equal force. Kyle shot a man for throwing a plastic bag at him, then lied and told people that the man had a gun. Plastic bag versus gun. Yeah. Oh, all I'm really pretty much proving right now, Mickey, is that it was going to come out one way and one way only. It really was. And I even got it all. And when I say it was only going to come out one way, I'm talking about all the way to the end. The rules were set up to only get one verdict. If I crash my car and I'm hurt, I'm a victim. The judge needs to look up the definition of the word. We'll get into that as well. We are definitely going to get into that. So we already even know whose side the judge is on, in a way, to the point of, I don't even think this dude need to be a judge anymore.
Court makes a finding that the actions that I had talked about were done in bad faith. Then I think both.
So let's put aside the fact that the ringtone on there, I can't remember the name of the song. I do, however, remember that is the theme song that Donald Trump comes out when he does his rallies and events and stuff like that. That's just so happy to be the judge's favorite song that he made it his ringtone on his phone. Let's just put that aside for one split second. The fact that a judge's phone is going off in court during a trial, not only and he does go in and he does turn it off real quick, but then you notice how he just goes back and has to read who that was that came through. Very, very unprofessional. It's unprofessional to do that in court. That's one thing. The judge doing it, that's an entirely different level. The judge is immune to consequences. This is the true issue in a trial. There's no restraint on runaway judges. Yep. Oh, that's what it was, Mickey. God bless the USA. How proud to be it. Yep, you're right, dude. So let's put aside the that situation, that unprofessional. What Thea said, he's immune to it. So what are you gonna do? He doesn't know how phones work. He legit admits it. He knew how the phone works. He ain't as senile. He's not as senile as he makes himself out to be. He may not have meant for it to go off, but he damn well sure knew that song was on his phone because it's his favorite phone. I mean, it's his favorite song. One of the things that was dropped during the trial, of course, was that the the weapons charges during the trial was dropped. Nobody understood why the weapons charges was dropped. One person did know why the weapons charges was dropped.
I'm finally convinced that the Kyle Rittenhouse judge is.
I'm really sick of this argument, and let me explain why. No, his misdemeanor charge was thrown out on a technicality, basically because the judge decided that the law wasn't clear, even though this is the gun regulations in Wisconsin, and it is very clear that it states the only reason he can open carry a long gun is for the purpose of military use, shooting practice or target practice, and hunting. So unless you're implying that that night in Kenosha he was doing one of those three things, which I would say he was, but that would make him guilty of murder and not self-defense, he was illegally possessing that gun. And one of the legal analysis on the case even stated that the judge decided to interpret the law. Schroeder's ruling appears to conflict with the legal opinion stated in a 2018 memo, which I just showed you, from the Wisconsin Legislative Council, which says, under federal law, with certain exceptions, a person under age 18 is generally prohibited from possessing a handgun under Wisconsin law, with certain exceptions for hunting, military service, and target practice. A person under age 18 is generally prohibited from possessing or going armed with a firearm. So let's throw the whole gun argument right out the window and have a real conversation. Why is anyone defending this young man? We have video evidence of him coming up behind a young lady and beating the shit out of her, like wailing on her head and her back, and continuing this behavior until other boys step in and stop it. And only then does he stop hitting a woman who did not provocate the violence to begin with. She was attacked by one of his friends that was a female. Period. We have video evidence of him sitting outside of CVS watching black men walk out, assuming that they're armed, and then making remarks, I wish I had my AR so I could shoot them up. We have picture evidence of him being driven to a fucking bar by his own mother, mind you, to drink alcohol illegally with a group of well-known Proud Boys posing with white supremacy symbols. Okay? We have evidence of his mom and father both having alcohol and drug abuse history. We have record that his mother filed charges against his father for abusing her and then later dropped said charges. Also keep in mind he paid someone to buy said gun for him with his unemployment money because he knew he couldn't legally purchase it. That night he carried it, as far as he was concerned, he was doing something illegal. You can't tell me otherwise. And you also want to talk about how they were chasing a 17-year-old. As far as they were concerned, he was a grown-ass man with an AR. They had no idea how old he was. And then for people saying he killed bad people because they were ex-felons, I don't give a shit what they did. That has nothing to do with what happened that night. He has no idea of their past criminal record, and that damn sure doesn't excuse people getting murdered. The real truth of the matter is if he was a black man and that happened at January 6th, and then the NAACP bailed him out of jail and he posed with Black Panther members, you'd be losing your fucking minds and demanding justice for those people he killed that night. That's the irony of this shit. Get your heads out of your fucking asses.
Yeah. I left that last part in so it could cover me on a lot of stuff that, like Mickey said earlier, a lot of stuff was omitted from the trial. The video of him beating up a girl, not a woman, it was a girl. Him saying, oh, I wish I had a pistol, I would shoot them up. Watching people coming out to CVS and assuming that they was like a little creep, staring at people coming out of CVS and assuming that they're stealing. You want to shoot them up. You don't want to show the pictures of him doing the white supremacy sign with a bunch of white supremacists at a bar. You don't want to show the pictures that this dude is at a bar that his mama once again drove him to. All of that was omitted from the case. All of that was omitted. The man thinks text messages have to be saved like a probably. Every time the prosecution asked Kyle a tough question, he turned to look at the judge with puppet dogs out, and the judge would interrupt the prosecutor. Yeah, the judge was a better defense than the defense. Yeah, he blocked the video because he didn't understand the tag and laughing about his stupidity. She tell the truth. Yeah, there was no lie in what she said. None of it. If Cal had an AR pistol and not an AR rifle, it wouldn't apply. The only difference between the two is stock. He probably had the pistol version. I wouldn't know one way or the other. She wasn't a woman. Yeah, thank you, Mickey. She wasn't. She's not a woman. That was a 14-year-old girl that he swung. By the way, from behind, not squared up with it. He ran from behind and started swinging. She said everything I could have said in 2 days to the rapid white supremacy and every. Yep, yep. Facts don't matter. He's a disgusting left-eye white man, so he must be coddled. I like the idea that he's a man. He's not a man. If he was black, he would have been a 17-year-old man. You got to remember, he's white, so he's a 17-year-old child. 17-year-old black man, 17-year-old white child. I'm straight, but I fallen in love with. You got to go on TikTok. She got a lot of videos like that. She got a lot of videos like that. So the gun charges were thrown. Case goes to the jury. You think everything is set up? Everything is done. No, we're not even done.
I'm finally convinced that the Kyle Rittenhouse judge is trying to throw the trial. Here's why. The judge, for half an hour now, has been giving the jury instructions on how to decide the case. And basically, that means the judge tells them the law and says, okay, on this count, on this charge, the law says you've got to find X, Y, and Z. And if you don't find X, Y, and Z, he's innocent. And if you do find X, Y, and Z, or PDQ, he's guilty, right? So, and he goes through each count and tells them what the law is and then how to apply it. You think it's pretty easy, right? Like you'd say, oh, if he murdered someone, you've got to find that he intended to do it and that he was reckless or whatever, right? But you tell or if he defended it, if it was self-defense, you've got to find he had a reasonable belief, this kind of stuff. This judge has been going on for half an hour, giving this jury a very specific, detailed explanation of the law and how to apply it for half an hour. I'm lost, and I've got a law degree from Georgetown, and I am totally lost listening to the judge. At one point, my favorite part, if I was in the jury, I would have raised my hand and gone, excuse me, what the fuck was that? At one point, the judge says, if you find that how did he say it? If you find that he was unlawfully injecting himself into a situation that was inviting violence, I'm paraphrasing, something like that, then he cannot invoke self-defense. But if you find in that situation that he reasonably believed he was about to be harmed, then he can invoke self-defense. And you're listening going, wait, you just told me he can't invoke self-defense, but now he can? Again, Georgetown lawyer here, I don't get it. After half an hour of this legal gobbledygook, I mean, my head's exploding. I'm a lawyer. He just stopped. And now he's going, I worked on this all weekend, and now I'm confused and thinking maybe I should have said something different. He's still, I'm looking at this. He's still going on. Oh my God. This is the same guy whose ringtone on his phone is the Trump campaign song, Proud to be an American. It's gone off twice now in court. He's also the same guy who gave an explanation on how zooming in on your iPad like this in a video, that doesn't let you see a video more clearly. That the logarithms of the iPad change the video. So when you zoom in on a video or a picture, you're not actually seeing what's there. You're seeing what Apple, I'll call it Big Apple, what Big Apple wants you to see. No, this guy's Looney Tunes. He's not just, anyway, I'm going to stop now. You can, oh my God. But I am skirting the line. Everyone's been saying he's trying to throw the case, and I'm like, this guy's a moron, and he probably is over the hill. But I'm starting to think he's trying to throw the case, because there is no way that a reasonable jury, I can't understand this. If I were on the jury right now, although frankly, if I were on the jury right now, I'd be saying, screw this, send the guy to prison. But I can't imagine how the jury convicts this guy with these rules, because they're incomprehensible.
So there you go. This was set up from beginning to middle to end to only get the verdict that was given. Period. Non-stop. Full stop. That was it. According to the laws and the rules that were set up, The jury was correct on their verdict because they was only pushed to give that verdict. There was no other way. As a matter of fact, I even go one step further, and if they would have even came back and said guilty on even one of the charges, I don't know what the judge would have did. He'd have lost his mind. There would have been an appeal that minute, not that day, not that week, that minute. That defense would have jumped up and started filing appeals now in front of the court, in front of the same judge, and have him sign off on it. This was a sheer waste of Wisconsin dollars. This could have only went one way. So for anybody to even sit here and say that the courts are broken, that the laws are broken, that the judicial system is broken, it's not broken. It's working exactly the way it's supposed to. It's working like clockwork. And you just saw an example of it, working like clockwork perfectly. Is anyone really shocked? Cop, judge, prosecutors, and Emmys are on the same club, the White Sheet Club. No, I'm telling you, I was more shocked that people were shocked. I really was. I was really more shocked that people were shocked at this verdict. It could have only went one way. That judge set it up perfectly. Down the line. He knew what you could say. He knew what pictures you could see. He knew what videos that you could see that was going to get him a guilty verdict, and he squashed it. It was perfectly set up. His judicial system works perfectly. It ain't broke worth a damn. I don't know why I'm sounding like an idiot. It's not broke at all. It works perfectly. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. This is the country we stay in. So, moving on to the Ahmaud Arbery case. I am sounding like a complete nut because this ear is stuffed up and it sounds like my words are coming out strange. But again, we're just going to push on. So let's go on to the next case, Arbery case. We already know what the defense is trying to do. However, we didn't know that there was a gap. In other words, what I'm saying is, of course, he was going to defend them, and this is not right. It was self-defense and everything else. We got that. What we did not know is that he had another angle. He had another angle to try to get a mistrial. So this was his first attempt at a mistrial, and watch what he says. Because when I get to the end, you'll understand exactly why he said what he said. So there's your hint. There was nothing that he said that wasn't part of the scheme. Everything that he said was systematically meant to be said. So here's the first thing that he said.
My understanding, while I was cross-examining Investigator Lowry yesterday, is that the Right Reverend Al Sharpton managed to find his way into the back of the courtroom. I'm guessing he was somehow there at the invitation of the victim's family in this case. And I have nothing personally against Mr. Sharpton. My concern is that it's one thing for the family to be present. It's another thing to ask for the lawyers to be present. But if we're going to start a precedent, starting yesterday, we're going to bring high-profile members of the African-American community into the courtroom to sit with the family during the trial in the presence of the jury, I believe that's intimidating, and it's an attempt to pressure, could be consciously or unconsciously, an attempt to pressure or influence the jury. Obviously, there's only so many pastors they can have. And if their pastor's Al Sharpton right now, that's fine, but then that's it. We don't want any more black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week, sitting with the victim's family, trying to influence the jury in this case. But I think the court can understand my concern about bringing people in who really don't have any ties to this case other than political interests. And we want to keep politics out of this case.
Well, I will tell you that I noticed him once and that was it. And the fact that nobody else even noticed that he was in here means that everybody complied with this court's rulings on sitting in this courtroom and listening to the evidence. I don't hear a motion, and I will tell you this, I'm not going to blanketly exclude members of the public from this court.
I like the way that judge, you saw the judge got real uncomfortable. I would have been shocked if after he said no more black judges, that judge looked like he was gonna go, dude, what the hell did you just say? What did you just say? I just looked like he was about to lose his. Woo, that was funny. Not the Arbery case, it's the McMichael case. Okay, the McMichael case. As long as everybody understands where I'm coming from. I'm an extreme profanity, flower child of the 60s who hate violence of any kind. So why do I feel the need to smack my head? Don't do it, Mickey. Don't do it. And I'm not going to read that out loud because I want no algorithm to go, oh, it was violence. Said, don't do it, Mickey. Don't do it, Mickey. Lord, it was. It really was. That judge, when he said no more black judges, that judge was like, oh, dude, what the hell did you just say? Oh, my God, bro. What is wrong with you? But again, there was a scheme behind it. Every word that he said was not, I'm not saying that he's not racist because, dude, you have to be racist to even say stuff like that. It was a setup. It was a setup. His is his second attempt to try to get a mistrial.
Concerned about whether it's conscious or unconscious, the impact of their presence with respect to the jury and with respect to the proceedings in this case. And I guess the next question is, which pastor is next? Is Raphael Warnock going to be the next person appearing this afternoon? We don't know. Your Honor, I would submit, with all respect to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, that this is no different than bringing in police officers or uniformed prison guards in a small town where a young black man has been accused of assaulting a law enforcement officer or corrections officer. And again, we are concerned about our client's right to have a fair trial and the impact of the presence of these individuals is going to have on this case. And we're asking the court, and again, with all respect to the Honorable Reverend Jesse Jackson, that he be observing these proceedings from the jury assembly room where they are being streamed live, rather than sitting here in the courtroom where he can visually interact with the jurors in this case.
All right. Mr. Goff, at this point, I'm not exactly sure what you're doing. I have already ruled on this court's position with regard to the gallery. And with all candor, I was not even aware that Reverend Jackson was in the courtroom until you started your motion. I have indicated the court's position. The court's position hasn't changed. At this point, it's almost as if you're just trying to continue this for purposes other than just bringing it to the court's attention. Find that objectionable from the court standpoint. I have said over and over and over in this trial that I am attempting to ensure that in this courtroom that the defendants receive a fair trial, and I will continue to do that. I have heard the objection. I have ruled previously on my position with regard to the gallery, and that is unchanged. So then we start getting into what we have now with individual members or individuals coming into the courtroom. I will say that is directly in response, Mr. Goff, to statements you made, which I find reprehensible. The Colonel Sanders statement you made last week, I would suggest may be something that has influenced what is going on here. In response to that, and to his credit, Mr. Sheffield made some comments, but did say, come one, come all. And so now the court is faced with balancing a lot of things going on outside this courtroom and doing it in a way that respects members of the public's right to be in the courtroom, as well as what I'm trying to put out there is a fair trial, right? So you need to understand, everybody, that your words in this courtroom have an impact on a lot of what's going on. And so my measured response at this point is to balance all of that out and try to move forward with the trial. I'm not granting a mistrial at this point.
The judge was on the right path. If you haven't picked up on it yet, the judge speaking picked up on what was going on. I do believe he actually knew what was going on. He just using measured words to make sure. Thing is, I did see your comment, but I wanted to show a video first before I show what you said, because again, this dude got the response that he wanted. He got exactly what he was asking for, and that was this.
Justice for Ahmaud! Justice for Ahmaud! Justice for Ahmaud! Justice for Ahmaud!
I did not come in the courtroom to protest. I came to pray that they would have the strength to stand up. Now, I do protest, but I came as a minister. And this man the next day defiled me for coming. We've come today to Brunswick to declare to somebody that said black pastors have no reason being here. We're coming. And we're not coming to do anything inside. We're coming outside to pray heaven down.
It down! We don't get it! Shut it down! I got you, your horse, I got you.
Everything that he said was to get that response. Let's just cut to the plot. Let's just cut to the great part of the movie. Let's just cut to the end. Let's just cut to the chase. Every word that he said was to get that response. Right there. To get that response. He purposely said everything. And the judge, like I said, was on the right track of saying, your words have consequences and everything else. And he tried not to burn it out for him to come back later. And, that judge was, even though we just saw a judge who has no problem whatsoever looking like an idiot, this judge actually does care. So he knew exactly what he was saying, word for word, phrase for phrase. And he got the response that he wanted. He has asked for like 5 mistrials and then asked the judge for a plea deal. Mr. Brian Hyde idiot. He didn't. They're not going to win, but he knew that attorney is bright enough to know that he was leading towards something, and he got the response that he wanted. Yes, his response was measured, but his face it was. But like I said, that was a judge that was like, you're not going to use me to make a mistrial. Now, here's the response of what he did. Remember what I said. Every word was detail-oriented to get that response of a bunch of black pastors coming out to protest at the trial, so he could turn around and do just this.
Third parties are influenced in this case. They've been doing it from the gallery in this courtroom. They've been doing it outside. This is what a public lynching looks like in the 21st century, with all due respect. They don't have to have 10,000 people outside. They don't have to have 100,000 people outside. Perception is reality. We have sealed these jurors off. We hope we have. We have sealed them off, and it doesn't matter how many people are outside. It doesn't matter how violent they appear to be. It doesn't take much. Just because they haven't put a gallery up, they haven't put a podium up outside with a hangman's noose on it, doesn't mean that this isn't a trial, despite the best efforts of this court. This isn't a trial that's been infected by mob violence of a woke left mob. And whether people realize that they participated in that or not, I'd like to think that the vast majority of the people outside this courthouse really have no interest in anything but justice. I want to believe that. From a lot of the people I know out there, I think that's true. But the perception is the reality. And the media have fed that perception and created a reality, whether it's true or not. Just like other people have created a false narrative, and the falsity of that narrative has been made very apparent through the trial of this case. That becomes the reality. This is what a mob-dominated trial looks like in the 21st century, and we're asking for the mistrial.
All right, the court, having heard from the movant as well as the parties, denies the.
I can kind of skip because the judge said no. Before he said no, though, this is what the prosecutor had to add.
Not before the prosecutor accused him of creating a self-fulfilling prophecy.
He is very, very calculating, and he's a good lawyer, because on November 12th, he stood up in this courtroom, knowing full well he was on television, and made comments about Al Sharpton and then black pastors and Colonel Sanders, all knowing full well it was being broadcast on television. That was not ineffective assistance of counsel by any stretch of the imagination. That was strategic. He got the response he wanted because he has filed a motion a day based on a continued drumbeat of, well, see, people are coming and people are responding, but they're responding to what he did.
And there you go. And there you go. Mr. Bryan didn't hire a stupid attorney. Mr. Bryan happened to hire an attorney who out for himself now. He did purposely everything that he said to get that response. So then when everybody came out, he could go, oh, is it all the people that came out? That's why we got the verdict that we did. The jury was they was messed up. They was intimidated. They saw all these black people and blah, blah, blah. He got the response that he wanted. His words was deliberate to get a group of pastors to come out so he could throw this trial. Did it work? Not really, because they tried a plea deal.
Now to dramatic testimony from the man who killed Ahmaud Arbery. Under questioning from the prosecution, Travis McMichael admitted that Arbery had never actually threatened him before Arbery was gunned down. CBS News has exclusive new details about this trial. Omar Villafranca is outside the courthouse in Brunswick, Georgia, with more. Omar, good morning. Can't wait to hear.
Good morning. Travis McMichael was on the stand for a second day of cross-examination, and then defense attorneys rested their case. But before they did that, one of the defense attorneys reached out to the prosecution offering a plea deal. The prosecutors went and talked to the Arbery family, and ultimately that request was denied.
The prosecution is confident and the defense is showing some cracks.
Arbery family attorney Lee Merritt told us lawyers for William Roddy Bryan, the man who filmed the shooting and admitted to pursuing and boxing in Ahmaud Arbery, asked prosecutors for a plea deal late Thursday.
What does that tell you? That he's concerned about the strength of the state's case. I guess prosecution turned it down flat out. They want all three of them. Yeah, he's as culpable as the other two.
That request came after the prosecution drilled down on several key points during Travis McMichael's second day on the stand.
How many times have you pulled up on strangers that you don't know next to them with a pickup truck to ask them what they're doing in your neighborhood?
I don't think I have in that situation.
Including the 25
Well, the point has been made. I couldn't find the video, but when they asked the defense attorney, he was walking to the courtroom, and the reporter was asking him, "Did you hear about the plea deal? Why did you make a plea deal?" And he said it was utter BS. He didn't make a plea deal. That's all he gonna say about it. I never said that there was a plea deal. I never offered a plea deal. No, that's not what I said. That's not it. In other words, he denied it. There was a plea deal on the board and was turned down. Trying to save face. Trying to really save face because he knows this is crap. I said that he was stupid because he can't argue a case. What he did to manipulate the media wasn't intelligent, it was desperate. It was both. It was an intelligent move to play the media because out of desperation. You do what you got to do, especially when you don't have a win-win situation going on here. This case right here, if they're not found guilty, now I can see some ish hitting the fan, so to speak. This right here is just too cut and dry. And this dude, and yeah, he's not intelligent enough to try to argue the case because they have no case. There is no case. There's nothing here. Closing arguments for this is tomorrow. They have nothing. I would love to hear. As a matter of fact, I'll go out on a limb and say that the closing arguments is tomorrow. I don't know what I just said. The closing arguments is tomorrow. I guarantee you that the closing arguments on from the defense is going to go right back to the media and being intimidated by all these black faces out here. And you have to really stretch your imagination to look at that and go, this is modern day lynching. I have no idea what the hell you talking about. I'm pretty sure he threw that out there for the intimidating factor and everything, but word for word, dude, I have no idea how a whole bunch of black pastors outside is the equivalent of 21st century lynching. He doesn't either. That was just word salad, to be honest with you. That's really what all that boils down to. So we are going to take a short break. We're going to go to Foxy's videos of the week. Very short show today. Got to get ready for Thanksgiving. So we'll be back in a minute.
Living for weekends, wishing I could take a break from this world. Running on a hamster wheel, but searching for something I can't feel. I just wanna be a lost girl and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate above the ground and make eye contact with clouds. Now I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free. Finally, I wanna be free. I wanna be free. Finally, I wanna be free. Finally, I always daydreaming, never imagined I lose my spark. Living in this crazy time, putting back the pieces of my mind. I know how to run from the dark and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate into the clouds. I'm so high above the ground.
We are back. I told you it was gonna be short. Gotta get ready. Gotta get ready. Still haven't found Foxy's video. I promise you that I look for it, and I'll keep looking for it. But this is all I got. So we're gonna have one more thing from the Kyle Rittenhouse video that I forgot to show you, but this is also something that needs to come up in the near future too.
So what I'm about to say gonna piss some people off. Never really been one to care, so if you pissed off, that's on you. But are we really going to ignore the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse's mammy, yes, I said mammy, packed her 17-year-old minor child into a car, drove him across state lines with an assault rifle in the middle of a damn riot? And this heifer has the audacity, every bit of it that she found on the clearance rack, to be sitting in the courtroom crying the same fake-ass crocodile tears that he was crying. Why isn't she on trial as well? Because I know a lot of black mothers that are in jail for less. Be a blessing.
So you got the mom who left her children in the hotel room across the street from an apartment that she had to get a job, and she was thrown in jail for abandoning her kids in a hotel room across the street from a job interview that she was having. Same thing with the woman who left her children in a car while she was working. Got thrown in jail too. You want to guess what that color was? Yet this woman can sit here and put her 17-year-old child in the car with her with his AK-47 that he had no business even having, to go across state lines to a ride that has absolutely nothing to do with him, to get himself into a situation where he can shoot and kill several people. The mom need to go on trial. For real, for real. She need to go on trial. Kind of hard to argue black faces are intimidating when they got your guns jumping in your truck looking for Ahmaud, following him, get out the truck and confront him with gun. Yeah, because the only reason he was shot because he got sick and tired of running and grabbed the gun so you wouldn't shoot him, so you shot him. Preach, sister. Yeah. She said it. If there was anybody that needs to go on trial, that mom need to go on trial. So next video. Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out what the video was. We're going to have a little fun and just pick on a bunch of stupid people.
You can't make this shit up. A moron walked into my barbershop this morning, and because I'm all tatted up, he decided to show me his new tattoo. And it says 1776. And I looked at it and I kind of just went, oh, okay, why did you get that? He goes, because I want some certain people to know that we're ready for a civil war. I looked at him and I kind of laughed and I said, how is 1776 going to let people know that you're ready for a civil war? And he goes, because that was the last civil war. Listen, so let me get this straight. You got 1776 tattooed on you so black and brown people know that you're ready for the next Civil War. Except that the last Civil War was 1861, not 1776. 1776 is when America got its independence, not the Civil War. Starting to make sense why all these morons are running around going 1776.
Just gonna let that sink in. You got a tattoo of that dude. You got a permanent tattoo. And don't give me that whole. You can take it off if you really want to. Yeah, you gonna pay for that? You gonna pay for it? You got a tattoo. You don't know American history. You're American. You're a patriot, and all this stuff. You have no idea. You have no idea about American history at all whatsoever. I get the frustration, but isn't it given that white people get treated differently than blacks? Complaint means zero. It's time for reactor. Yeah, been time for it a long time ago. Lord help. Yeah, Tracy, this never in your life use a historical event or figure or anything else branded on your body and you have no idea what the hell you talking about. Period, point blank. I can't make it no more simpler than that. As a matter of fact, I'm moving on because I can't help them. But it gets more dumb. It gets more dumb. These people are allowed to vote.
I swear to God, I can't with these fucking people. Okay, well, I step out of the library, and there's an older gentleman. He's black. He's in a wheelchair. Now, as I'm walking out of the library, he's getting ready to go in. He's in a wheelchair, so I hold the door open for him. Who wouldn't, right? I'll tell you who wasn't going to hold the door open for him. This Karen-looking motherfucker, okay? She literally stops him as I'm holding the door open, and she's like, there's wheelchair parking outside. I was like, and he's like, excuse me? She steps outside of the library door. She points to where I'm standing. She's like, you see that big blue wheelchair right there on the ground? That's where you park your wheelchair at. I can't make this fucking shit up. I literally was like, come on. I helped him into the library. He was so confused. She then followed me into the library as I was helping him. And she ran straight up to the librarian. The look on the librarian's face was fucking priceless. She looked just as confused as the rest of us. I can't.
I'm sick of people. I really am. I'm so sick of people. And I'm so sick of miserable people. Because miserable people are not the brightest people in the world. And they go out of their way to try to make you miserable. And it doesn't make you miserable. It just makes you so confused as how did you get as old as you got thinking the way you do? It's I'm no longer tolerant with the word patriot. It's just like Nazi coup, the religious symbol, the swastika, the white rings have cooped the word patriot. It no longer means what it used to. Not anymore. Not anymore, Mickey. They have thrown that word into dirt, stomped on it, molded it into something that is unrecognizable. I agree with you. I guess that means I can no longer use a handicap parking because I don't have a width. Man, can use all the logic that you want to. I'm sick of people. I am. I'm just so sick of people now. I'm just sick of them. Sick of every last one of them. Except my mafia crew. Love you. Love you all. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, non-conforming individuals, that is my show for tonight. Right now, as we speak, hit that like button. Do not say, oh, I'll hit it on the way out the door. Nope. hit that like button right here, right now, as you hear my voice. Reach out right now and hit that like button. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you all next week. I'm so sick of people. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you. Peace.